Emily? Any word from Trip yet?
Oh, yeah, he just texted me this morning. God, I cannot believe he is finally fulfilling that lifelong dream of seeing every production of Les Mis across the world. Oh, he's in New Zealand now. Empty chairs at empty tables. Now my friends are dead and gone.
Yeah.
Nailed it. Special skills, am I right?
That was good. So I guess that means he won't be coming back anytime soon.
I guess that means we're just gonna have to keep subletting till we can find a new housemate. Oh, why? Do you have a problem with our new roomie or something?
Oh, hey guys! Thanks for letting me keep my plants here. Especially Audrey, too. She needs a lot of special attention.
No, he's okay. There's just something about that Audrey 2 plant that seems, off to me.
It's fine, Gerald. Hey, where did you get that thing anyway?
Yeah.
Well, you remember that total eclipse of the sun about a week ago?
No. Anyway, it's just some dumb exotic plant, Gerald. It's not like a plant can hurt you.
Oh, jeez, Tui. I don't know what to do anymore. What's it gonna take for you to grow? Huh? Blood? Emily? Would you hand me that razor?
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
I given you sunshine. I given you rain. Looks like you're not happy unless I open a vein. Oh!
Feed me, Gerald. Feed me all night long.
Must be time for another Halloween musical review.
Stealing focus.
Greetings, Broadway ghoulies. I'm Emily.
And I'm Gerald.
And welcome to Stealing Focus.
The show where we talk about movie and TV musicals, comparing them to their source material.
But rating them on their own merits.
To decide once and for all whether these works of art live up to our lofty expectations as true aficionados of the great white play.
Yeah. We'll be looking at the moments that are a standing O.
Yay!
A slow clap.
Meh.
Or Carrie the Musical.
Boo! Joining us today for our super spoopy Halloween episode is Emerson Boatwright! Yay! Emerson, would you like to introduce today's episode?
Luckily, Gerald, I'm not feeling that anemic anymore, so you betcha. Today we're looking at the 1986 film adaptation, cult classic turned mainstream hit, Little Shop of Horrors. Based off the 1960 low-budget horror comedy of the same name, Little Shop of Horrors premiered Off-Broadway on July 27, 1982.
The music was written by Alan Menken with book and lyrics by Howard Ashman. If these names sound familiar to you, that's because this songwriting team would parlay their success from Little Shop directly onto their next projects, Disney's The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast.
Little Shop of Horrors tells the story of a nerdy florist shop worker named Seymour who manages to find a rare plant that subsists only on blood, and later, human flesh. While this brings about acclaim for the flower shop owner, Mr. Mushnick, and brings Seymour closer to his co-worker and secret crush, Audrey, it also presents moral dilemmas as the plant, nicknamed Audrey 2, seeks world domination.
Yup, this weird little East Village horror musical comedy was wildly successful, running for 5 years and winning multiple Drama Desk Awards. It was ineligible for the Tonys, though, since that original production didn't run on Broadway.
But after decades of being produced by high schools, community theaters, and regional theaters across the world, Little Shop saw its first Broadway production in 2003, starring Hunter Foster and Carrie Butler. And these days, everyone is mounting some large-scale reimagining, including the 2019 Pasadena Playhouse production, which we were all lucky to see.
Little Shop's appeal came from the campy B-movie premise, timeless score, impressive puppets, and enduring characters, all staged in an intimate setting. The original cast became indelibly linked with their characters, especially Ellen Greene as Audrey. Like Robert Preston with Harold Hill, Yul Brynner with the King of Siam, and Carol Channing with Dolly Levi, Ellen Greene's interpretation of Audrey came to define the role. And people still want to see her play it. She played Audrey back in 2015 opposite Jake Gyllenhaal when she was 64 years old. And it still worked.
Anyway, Little Shop was a big ol' hit, and one of the Off-Broadway producers just happened to be a guy who helped produce Cats, and would later go on to co-found DreamWorks, David Geffen. Geffen set his sights on producing a film version, which would be released in December of 1986.
Directed by Muppeteering legend Frank Oz and filmed entirely on a soundstage in London, Little Shop of Horrors would star Rick Moranis, Steve Martin, and Ellen Greene reprising her role as Audrey.
Critical reception was fairly positive, and even Jim Henson praised his friend Oz for the puppet work. 1986 was a weird time for film musicals though, and while not a flop, Little Shop would underperform in the eyes of the studio.
But when the film became available on VHS only a year later, it made back its money and became a beloved cult classic.
But is it still good by today's standards?
Well, Gerald, let's travel down to Skid Row to find out.
Then you go
Downtown, where the folks are broke. You go downtown, where your life's a joke. You go downtown, where the life is done. You go.
There is so much to love about the film version of Little Shop of Horrors. Howard Ashman adapted the screenplay and worked closely with Frank Oz, so while many of the best scenes from the stage show remain intact, there are some added elements to make things more cinematic.
It's great to see all these descriptive lyrics acted out under Oz's direction in songs like Dadu, with the flashback to Seymour purchasing Audrey 2, or Somewhere That's Green, with Audrey entering an extended dream sequence of that little development far, far from urban Skid Row.
The sets were created at Pinewood Studios in London, and every scene of the movie was shot there. Not only does it add to the early 1960s setting, but it keeps Skid Row from being pinned down to any particular real-life location.
It was important for the production to have complete control on set. Because of all the gosh darn Audrey 2 puppets everywhere, the puppets were designed by Oz's frequent collaborator, Lyle Conway, who worked on films like Return to Oz, The Dark Crystal, and The Great Muppet Caper. Conway and his team created lots of fantastic puppets, even developing a new technology for Audrey 2's vines, which are much more present in the film than in the stage show. Another cinematic touch that adds to the menacing nature of the plant.
Little Shop used minimal green screen or digital effects, and the use of practical effects overall is refreshing. To give Audrey 2 that sinister, extraterrestrial feel, the plants were filmed at a slower speed, then sped up to the standard 24 frames per second. And that final puppet weighed over 1 ton and took over 50 people to operate.
But Audrey 2 would be nothing without that legendary baritone. Levi Stubbs of Motown's The Four Tops provides the voice, and he even gets a new song called Mean Green Mother from Outer Space, which would be nominated for an Oscar, then lose to Take My Breath Away. Yup, Menken and Ashman would have to wait a few more years before they got that sweet, sweet Best Original Song gold.
So yeah, throw together state-of-the-art puppeteering with a voice full of character, and you've got a B-movie musical villain for the ages. Even if it is just an inanimate puppet.
What? Does this look inanimate to you, punk? I'm sorry. Rustle, rustle, I'm a flower.
The charms of the original stage production shine throughout the film. Alan Menken's melodies manage to sound like they're from the early 60s while remaining utterly timeless. Howard Ashman's lyrics are immaculately structured, yet Sondheim levels of clever. I can't remember the last time we used Sturm und Drang as a noun.
Songs like Grow For Me, Feed Me, and everyone's favorite karaoke duet, Suddenly Seymour, resonate just as well on screen as they do on stage. For tunes like Skid Row, adding a massive chorus of well-cast downtrodden bums makes the desperation all the more palpable. The climax of Skid Row always gives me goosebumps, no matter the format though.
And then there's the title song and prologue, performed by Tashina Arnold, Tisha Campbell, and Michelle Weeks as the urchins. Though really they are anything but street urchins in this iteration. On stage, Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon, each named for an early 60s pop girl trio, hang out on the front stoop of Mushnik's flower shop, providing commentary on the actions and occasionally participating as the quintessential Greek chorus of Skid Row.
In the movie, though, the girls are glammed up in different fabulous costumes for nearly every scene, or they manage to infiltrate the world in which they are commenting on, appearing as dental hygienists, stenographers. Even then, Crystal, Ronette, and Chiffon are often unseen by the other characters, making the subtle shift from Greek chorus to omniscient narrators. The urchins are the anchors of Little Shop, and every time these gals appear, the screen lights up.
Oh, fun fact. Both Tashina Arnold and Tisha Campbell would go on to star in the 90s sitcom, Martin.
Damn, Gina!
The cast is full of cameos from the 80s comedy world, like Bill Murray, John Candy, Jim Belushi, and Christopher Guest, giving probably the weirdest performance of his career, which is saying a lot.
Well, that's an unusual story and a fascinating plant.
Vincent Gardenia is a serviceable Mr. Mushnik, and Steve Martin steals the show as Audrey's sadistic, abusive boyfriend, Oren Scrivello. DDS. But in the end, it's our two leads, Seymour and Audrey, who truly capture the audience's hearts.
Ellen Greene plays her defining role to perfection, and even though she's an extremely theatrical performer, she sings with every fiber of her being. Seriously, I'm convinced her talent is drawn directly from her neck vein. Greene has subtle moments of sweet fragility that play beautifully on screen, just showing us how wide her range is.
And playing a role that was seemingly written just for him is Rick Moranis as Seymour. The fact that Moranis is comedically gifted or is perfect at playing a lovable nerd should come as a surprise to no one. What blows me away, though, is just how good of a singer he is. I don't know what his musical theater pedigree is, but he boasts to the rafters and sounds amazing, especially on songs like Feed Me.
The moment that perfectly encapsulates Little Shop's great book writing, fine acting, and moving underscoring is when Seymour tells Audrey, a woman brushed off as being dumb and only valued for her looks, that he respects her, and he always has. The chemistry between Greene and Moranis is palpable, and you want them to end up together with every fiber of your being. Stick a pin in that. We'll come back to that later.
Like all movie musical adaptations, changes must be made from the stage show. Some make sense, some not so much. The songs Closed for Renovation and Call Back in the Morning are both cut, which, okay, fair. Neither are very memorable, and the point of both of them are portrayed on screen via montage.
Oren Scrivello's Act 1 finale, Now, in which the abusive dentist dies ODing on nitrous oxide while Seymour stands idly by, is completely cut. Again, it's not totally necessary since we get the gist of the scene without it. However, I do miss that creepy little reprise of the opening number that usually plays as Seymour feeds Oren to the plant.
We lose the entire subplot of Mr. Mushnik wanting to adopt Seymour as his son in order to keep the shop afloat, so of course Mushnik and Son is cut, which is a shame because it fleshes out Mushnik's character, making him less sympathetic and more conniving. And I always enjoyed that it felt like Menken and Ashman's homage to Fiddler on the Roof.
There are also instances of the film taking songs and tweaking them. You Never Know has transformed into Some Fun Now. It has the same chord progressions and some original lyrics peppered throughout, but an entirely new chorus, and way more of a calypso feel. Perhaps they made this shift since the film's urchins are less involved directly with the other characters, because otherwise it's functionally the same song.
And my favorite song, The Meek Shall Inherit, is whittled down to one verse and one chorus, which, really hurts. Seymour's passionate breakdown in the bridge is what I miss the most, though, really. I kind of think Moranis would have killed it.
We lose a total of 4 complete songs, but don't worry, the movie makes up for it by adding extended comedic improvised sequences that add nothing to the story.
Oh, but hey, it's the 80s, man. We gotta have Bill Murray and John Candy in there, right?
Yeah.
We're wild and crazy guys.
Don't get me wrong, I love them both, but their scenes stop the story dead in its tracks. We don't need Candy hamming it up as a bad radio announcer or Murray getting off on Steve Martin pulling out his teeth.
Well, apparently Bill Murray's character is a holdover from the 1960 films. He's playing the role that Jack Nicholson created in his very first film role.
Which is cool, but like, why? I mean, I would much prefer complete songs that further the plot or characters, but that's just me.
Supper time.
Sorry, Emerson. I was going for the plant. My bad. Is that all we have for Slow Clap? Wow, this must be a pretty perfect film, because I can't think of anything that's egregiously wrong with it.
Oh, I can, Gerald. Yeah. This is a pretty awesome movie until... Remember how we said you really want Seymour and Audrey to end up together? Well, multiple test audiences felt the same way. So despite going against everything Frank Oz, Howard Ashman, and David Geffen believed, the film capitulated to the studio and changed the ending.
We see a finale where plucky Seymour electrocutes Audrey II as the flower shop collapses. He emerges from the rubble to find his lady love awaiting, and the two of them escape to their dream home in the suburbs. But not without a shot of another Audrey II in the garden, making the happy ending slightly ambiguous.
The original ending, though? Not so ambiguous! It originally ends just as the stage version did, with Audrey and Seymour both dying at the hands of the plant, with hordes of Audrey IIs taking over the world via the show's finale, Don't Feed the Plants.
And they went full out. The production team created a proper old-timey sci-fi movie ending with the plants going full kaiju on New York City. They terrorize hordes of innocent bystanders, the National Guard is called in, they claim the Statue of Liberty, and even blast through the movie screen indicating they're about to eat the very movie theater you're sitting in.
Even though the sad ending made more sense thematically, Seymour's deadly actions have repercussions, and Audrey indeed ends up somewhere that's green. The test audiences proved too strong. They hated seeing these beloved characters face a grisly demise.
Oz attributes this to the fact that in a movie, you don't get a curtain call. So the audience didn't get the satisfaction of seeing Moranis and Green come out at the end and go, "It's okay, we're fine." But I call BS on that. Audiences can be smart, as proven by the fact that the ending worked tremendously well on stage. I just think the studio got cold feet and made Oz and Ashman cobble something together.
And cobble they did. The film was delayed for reshoots, bringing Audrey back from the brink of death with a "no, I'm okay," chopping together a mini Suddenly Seymour reprise, getting some reaction shots of Ellen Green through a window, and throwing Jim Belushi in there. 'Cause why not?
It would take years for the original ending to see the light of day, becoming part of the director's cut edit in 2012. It's an honest-to-God tragedy that it took decades for us to see just how incredible that ending would have been.
If you can forgive the ending of the original theatrical cut and slog through some inconsequential comedic scenes, Little Shop of Horrors is a movie musical that will make you scream. With delight!
Ellen Green and Rick Moranis will capture your hearts. The practical special effects will make you yearn for the days before CGI, and the beloved score will have you singing along to every note.
It's a great Halloween musical, and we recommend giving it a watch to get you in the spooky spirit.
And just remember to keep an eye on your plants when you do.
Oh! No! No! There's only room for one mean green mother in this house, and that's me!
No, take it easy! Take it easy!
Leave Joey alone, Gerald! Leave Joey alone!
Thanks for watching our review of Little Shop of Horrors.
You come back here! I'm gonna beat those leaves right off of you!
Be sure to subscribe and check back for our reviews of the best and worst of film, stage, and television musicals.
Oh, I miss Rick Moranis.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Don't feed the plants. Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. We have a Patreon now. So if you want to help us produce this kind of content and more, get on there and contribute.
So don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that bell for notifications to get everything Stealing Focus.
Thanks so much for following us. We love you all.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Damn, Gina? Mmm.